Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 17 of Be With Me. Yesterday we talked about a building from God, and that was a building that he's been building in his neighborhood. It's located in heaven, and it's a place where we get to go and eternally be with God. And then he says that there's this burden of knowing that there's something better than this lousy tent, if you will, that we're in now, and something better that awaits us. And so he describes that as actually being a burden while we're here, knowing that something greater is ahead of us. So the Holy Spirit was given as a promise that was sent from a spiritual world. He crossed over into our physical world, now indwells believers. And that's kind of the guarantee that we're going to go from our physical world, our tent world, and go into our spiritual building. So pay attention today. He's going to talk about being home and being away. Being home is actually going to be there, and being away is here. So listen in. This is from 2 Corinthians chapter 5. I'm going to start in verse number 6. So we are always of good courage. We know that while we are at home in the body, we are away from the Lord. For we walk by faith, not by sight. Yes, we are of good courage, and we would rather be away from the body and at home with the Lord. So whether we are at home or away, we make it our aim to please him. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each one may receive what is due for what he has done in the body, whether good or evil. So here now, at home in the body, is a time of being away from the Lord. And we hear Paul's frustration with that. We walk by faith now because we don't see the end result. We don't see heaven quite yet. And we would rather, Paul is saying he would rather, we should too, rather be away from this body and at home with the Lord. Now think what that means. Don't underestimate what this means. He's saying, I would rather die and be buried and have a funeral and say goodbye to my parents and my family and my friends and my grandchildren. He didn't have any grandchildren. But leave all the treasure that we have here, every song that you've written, every word that you've said, every bank account that you've saved. Leave the 401k unspent. No more places to go. In fact, what Paul is saying, think about the bucket list. I think that's a good way to think about this today. He says there's only really one big thing on my bucket list, and that's to get away from here and go and be at home with the Lord. And that is to cross over from this physical world and go to the spiritual world. So I find myself this morning in a place, and maybe you can hear it, I find myself in front of an ocean. Sort of almost a bucket list kind of a place. And what Paul is saying is, I would rather be away from this place. I would rather be at home with the Lord. I would rather be away from my body, away from the tent of my body in this world, and head towards heaven. I would rather be away from here and be home with the Lord. Now, in the meantime, he's not taking his own life. He says, in the meantime, we make it our aim to please him. So continue to walk correctly. Can the Lord be pleased? I think this verse says, yes, the Lord can definitely be pleased. So yes. Part of the process of being home is when we get there, is the Lord's going to say, well, tell me about being away. What is due? Well, justice is due. There's going to be good to answer for. There's going to be evil to answer for. So in conclusion, I think, we are in an earthly tent of groaning, and we long to be in heaven. We long for a better location, that is heaven. We long for a better body, that is our dwelling. We long for better neighbors, that is to be with the Lord and probably be with the people of the Lord, though I think that's secondary. The burden now is knowing that there's this treasure ahead, and what is mortal now is going to be swallowed up by life. That's the passage from verse 4. We didn't read it today, But he says we would rather be further closed so that what is mortal may be swallowed up by life. Remember that being here is being away from the Lord, and being home is actually being there. So Paul is saying, I would rather be away from the body and be home with the Lord, even though judgment is a part of that process. So ladies and gentlemen, no matter what's left on your bucket list, let's have the one main thing left on the bucket list, which is to be home with the Lord. Thanks for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.